When Mr. Darcy first walks onto the page in Pride and Prejudice, we hadn't even learned his name. What we remembered was the phrase 10,000 a year. It was so striking that one might be tempted to call him Mr. 10,000 a year. But what does that number actually mean? How do we translate it into today's money? Was Darcy merely comfortable, genuinely wealthy, or the early 19th century equivalent of a modern billionaire? Let's take a closer look. Darcy's fortune is described in the simplest possible way: £10,000 a year. For Jane Austen's readers, that figure instantly screamed wealth. It referred to income from his Derbyshire estate, Pemberley, money collected from tenant farmers, rents, and estate management. Unlike today's salaries, which rise and fall with business cycles, this was stable, land-based income, the most respectable form of wealth in Regency England. But let's do the math. £10,000 in 1810 is equivalent to around £800,000 to £1 million a year today. By any normal standard, that's extremely comfortable, but it becomes even more jaw-dropping when we compare it to the incomes of the time. A clergyman, about £200 a year. A modest gentleman, £500. Mr. Bennet, at Longbourn, £2,000. Mr. Darcy, with £10,000, was soaring above almost everyone. To really bring it home, imagine his own staff. A Regency coachman might earn about £30 a year. Darcy earned more than 300 times that. If we apply the same ratio today with a UK cab driver earning around £30,000 a year, Darcy's equivalent income would be a cool £10 million annually. So no, he wasn't just comfortable. Darcy was basically the Elon Musk of Derbyshire, without the warehouses but with better tailoring. Who was richer? Of course, there were men even wealthier. Great dukes and aristocrats could pull in £20,000 to £40,000 a year or more. Their money came from massive estates stretching across multiple counties, royal grants, and occasionally lucrative investments in trade or colonies. Compared with them, Darcy was rich, but not stratospheric. He sat at the top of the landed gentry, a step below the titled nobility. Where did the land come from? Darcy didn't invent Pemberley. His fortune was the product of generations of inheritance. Estates like his usually had long histories. Land grants from medieval monarchs to loyal families, strategic marriages combining estates, primogeniture, which kept the property intact by passing it to the eldest son. Austen never gives us the full family history, but her readers would have assumed Pemberley had been in Darcy's family for centuries. His wealth wasn't just a paycheck, it was the accumulation of history and privilege. Darcy's younger sister, Georgiana, was said to have a fortune of £30,000. That alone would yield about £1,500 a year in safe investments, enough to make her one of the most eligible young women in the country. But what if Darcy had a brother? Under English inheritance law, the estate would still pass to Darcy as the eldest son, but custom demanded younger sons be provided for, with smaller fortunes or careers in the army, navy, or church. Austen avoids this complication by giving Darcy no brothers. The result? All the wealth, status, and power concentrate neatly in his hands. Perfect for a romantic hero. Elizabeth Bennet's visit to Pemberley shows us what 10,000 a year looked like in daily life. Beautifully maintained grounds, elegant interiors, stables, streams, servants, and the ability to host on a grand scale. Darcy had the means to quietly settle Lydia Bennet's scandal and still carry on as if nothing happened. His wealth provided not only comfort, but influence. So why 10,000 and not some other figure? Because her audience knew exactly what it meant. Wealth that was secure, respectable, and nearly unimaginable for most people. For Elizabeth, whose family lived on £2,000 and faced losing their estate, marriage to Darcy was not only about love, it was also a leap into economic security that could safeguard future generations. So, was Darcy actually rich? The answer is a resounding yes. His £10,000 a year made him one of the wealthiest men in Austen's world, equivalent to millions today. Compared to his coachman, he was 300 times richer. Compared to Elizabeth, he was 5 times wealthier. His money came from land, his land came from history, and his position was reinforced by inheritance law that concentrated wealth in the eldest son. Darcy may not have been a duke, but he was exactly what Austen needed, a man rich enough to astonish, yet grounded enough to be believable. We may remember the number before we remember the man. 10,000 a year is a figure that still echoes today, but Austen's point was clear: wealth alone does not make someone worthy. Darcy's fortune might have dazzled, but it was his growth, humility, and integrity that made him deserving of Elizabeth's love.